The views and opinions expressed in this channel are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views of our guests. The views and the opinions of the guest do not represent nor reflect the views and opinions of the Lockoutmen channel, nor its host. Our guests' opinions are their own. This channel is for educational, entertainment, and informational purposes only, and utilizes fair use materials in accordance with applicable laws.
Man, I really appreciate it, man. I can't believe this is happening. I was listening to you doing deliveries in New York, trying to get into the trucking game, and now I'm here talking to you about the trucking game. Man, I'm so over the moon, man. I really appreciate you inviting me on the channel to talk, man.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Guys, welcome back to the channel. I am Lockoutmen, and today I got my man Roma the Trucker in the house today. Romaine, my fault. Roma the Trucker in the house today. I'm not sure if you guys is up on things, but as you guys know, I did an interview with Kersey, which is doing very well right now. She was a 10-year driver with Prime, and she decided to leave. And it seems that it is a domino effect that is going on over at Prime Inc. Romaine the Trucker, I was hip to him. His video was sent to me. I watched it. I reached out to the guy, and now he's here. What's going on, my guy? So before we get into it, man, what made you decide it was time to leave Prime?
Man, when I finally made up my mind to leave Prime, it was like a sad moment because, Prime was where I started out. That was the school I go to, and when it was time to leave, because I wasn't getting the miles, this is straight up. I wasn't getting the miles. Like this week, I'll make decent miles, and then next week, I won't be getting in the miles. So it's like, I'm here living out on the road. I'm trying to make money, and it's not happening. And I'm like, I did my 1-year obligation. And I'm like, I can leave Prime right now without owing Prime any money, because when you go to Prime through schooling, you have to do a year obligation. You make I don't want to say shit 10 per mile, but first year in trucking, we're just trying to get our teeth cut. We're just trying to learn the game. So we're not looking to get rich in the first year. But after a year, I'm like, nah, I could go to a next company and get that 1-year experience. I could go anywhere. And to be funny, Kersey, I was in a chat group with her, and she said, yo, you leaving Prime? And I'm like, yeah, if I get something good, I'll go. And she hooked me up with this new company I'm at right now. So basically, I left Prime just because I wasn't getting the miles, man. It's not steady anymore. And I have that 1-year experience, and I figured, man, let me get up out of here. Companies, they're not loyal to people. They will just wake up and lay off thousands of people. So why I'm going to stay here and be loyal to Prime when I'm trying to make money?
All right, so Kersey, shout out to Kersey once again, Kersey. So she was the one that kind of helped you to the new company where you're at, right?
Yeah, yes. Kersey's the one who put me onto this company that I'm at right now.
You gave Prime the exclusive 2-week notice, bro. Which is very rare in trucking. When it's time for me to go, it's time for me to go. But what made you choose that route instead of just up and walking away?
I respected the fleet manager. She was good to me, very transparent. Before she became my fleet manager, she actually knew me before, because the person that trained me was up for an award. One of her drivers was up for an award, and she asked that driver, who's your best ever student? And that was me. So that fleet manager reached out to me before I was her driver and said, hey, one of my drivers getting an award. And she said, you was her best student. We want you to write a little speech to surprise her. So going in, my fleet manager, she respected me. I respected her. When it's time for me to get my day off, she gave it to me. So I figured, what? Prime has been good to me. I don't get no bad treatment. And so I'm going to leave. I'm just going to do the honorable thing, and gave him my 2 weeks. But now I heard it, truck drivers don't normally do that. I'm surprised. A lot of truck drivers don't go.
No, bro. Don't be surprised. I'm one of those drivers. I'm for real. When it's time to go, it's time to go. I am on the part of when the company wants you to leave, they going to get you up out of there. They ain't going to give you no time to find another job. They ain't going to give you no time to get the money up and pay your bills. They ain't going to do nothing. They want you up and 86 out the door. But yet you want me to give you a 2 weeks notice so you can find somebody, so you can train somebody, so you can bring them in to take my job. And I do understand that if you give them the two weeks notice and walk out of there kumbaya and shit, the opportunity of coming back is there. But how many drivers want to go back anyway? Obviously you left for a reason. And what, coming back is like that same reason is going to change? If I wasn't getting the miles then, and that's the reason why I left, what makes me think I'm going to get the miles now when I come back? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. You know what I mean? But I was looking at Prime is a big company. Prime was good in the past, then they get bad. Maybe in the future they'll get good again. Who knows? Maybe they'll change up some policies. And, I could be like, maybe 2 years from now, hey, I'm going back to Prime because my fleet manager told me, hey, you're leaving on good terms, you can come back on good terms. You know what I mean? You can come back whenever you want. And I'm like, I appreciate that. So I didn't know it was a thing just to get up and leave. I was just doing, the honorability, like I said, and, it's kind of good. I still have, like, a chance to get back over there in case things goes good in the future. Who knows?
Just in case. So you just mentioned that you didn't get no pushback. Was that surprising to you based on what we are talking about when we talk about quitting?
No, I didn't get any pushbacks. I mean, I don't know what's going on at Prime when it comes to company driver versus lease driver. I've heard rumors that, Prime trying to be all lease. I don't know how true that is. So for a company guy to say he's leaving, I don't think that would be a big issue. And, they know I have a social media and YouTube. So, and someone was telling me, a friend of mine, he was saying, when you give them your 2 weeks, they would have never treat you bad because you got like a YouTube channel, you could talk about it, and that's bad. So, Prime would do the right thing by you, which I don't believe. I just think, my fleet should respect me and stuff. But my friend was saying that, and that's not unbelievable, to be honest. That's from no.
Okay, so you gave them the 2 weeks notice. They honored that. After you gave them your 2 weeks notice, did you feel like they was going to start treating you fairly until you left? Or they was going to mess with your miles? They was going to mess with your money? Did you get any type of feeling about that? Or you was actually good the way everything was said and done?
Two things happened that showed me they didn't try to do anything to hurt me. When I was leaving, I live in New York City, and I live on the road of the truck. I have a storage up there. So I was in Iowa. I gave my 2 weeks notice, and I tell the fleet manager, hey, I want you to route me to the terminal in Pennsylvania so I could get some of these stuff off of my truck. She said, no problem. When I get to Pennsylvania, I said, hey, look, I want you to route me to the terminal in Missouri. That's where I want to drop off my truck. And she gave me a load from the yard in Pennsylvania at the terminal to take to Springfield, to drop it over Springfield and turn in my truck. So everything was smooth and perfect. All my requests was granted. So I didn't get any pushback at all. So, maybe I was the lucky ones. I don't know. Maybe my friend, like I said, we have history. She knows me as one of the good students coming through the program. And like my friend said, I have a voice on YouTube. And a lot of people come to Prime because of me. And if I should talk bad, that I'm getting bad treatment on my exit, maybe it wouldn't look good on the company. Like I said, I don't believe that. I just believe my fleet manager was good. And, it's like that, man. Everything was good leaving Prime.
All right. So have any thoughts about staying at Prime just a little bit longer after you initially made up your mind, or were you 100% ready to move on?
I mean, when I gave them the notice, obviously I got the information about the new job. I was excited about the new job. But then I was saying to myself, if I should train like a student, the lease guys, they pay the student out of pocket. Prime doesn't pay the trainee. The lease guy, the trainer, pay the trainee. But if I'm a company driver, I don't pay the trainee. Prime pay the trainee, and I will get paid every single mile the truck moves. So if Prime had me train, I would have still been at Prime. That was the only way. I'm like, even though I gave him my request, if my fleet manager called me right now and said, Romain, we want you to train, that would have been a big plus for me, and I would have still been at Prime. That was the only thing that could have kept me at Prime, is if they allowed me to train.
Okay.
It was the only thing that could have kept me.
So Romain, man. So first off, thank you for coming up on the platform, man, and sharing your experience with me, man. I really do appreciate it. You mentioned about turning your truck into Springfield, right, instead of going to Piston. How important was it for you to control that part of the process?
Because the new company, they're out of Texas. That was the reason. If I was in Missouri, it would be a little 7-hour drive in a car rental to get to the orientation in Texas. Versus to come all the way in Pennsylvania to turn it into Pennsylvania, it would be like a plane ride. I couldn't take most of my stuff, like my microwave and all my stuff, because I live on the truck. I couldn't take most of my stuff that I have on the truck to Texas. I didn't want to drive all the way in a rental car, even though I'm a truck driver. I didn't want to drive a car from Pennsylvania to Texas with all my stuff. So I figured if I could get to Missouri, if Prime could allow me to drop off the truck in Missouri, it would have been an easy transition to just drive 7 hours to Texas. So it was important I drop off the truck.
All right, my guy. So how different was the orientation at the new company compared to Prime's orientation when you first started?
Well, at Prime, it was nerve-wracking because, I was brand new, never drove a truck before, I was just Prime, they take care of us. You get the hotel, you get that breakfast, lunch, you get that meal card. That meal card to take care of breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Prime. It was smooth. With the new company, obviously this time I am an experienced guy. So now I'm just trying to see, how do they run their stuff, and everything the recruiter told me about Hellwig, and everything the person who referred me to the company, Kirsty, her friend, I use her friend as a referral. I had Kirsty right on the phone, three-way talking. The friend is at Hellwig working, and she was telling me everything. When I go to orientation, every single thing they told me, also what the recruiter told me, I heard it in the orientation. That says at home, the miles, one of the things the guy said, it's there. If you can't run at least 90% of your clock every day, if you can't drive 600 miles, pack your stuff up and leave. And I was like, whoa, This is amazing. This is what I want to hear. And of course, we do all the normal orientation stuff, the drug test on the first day, physical, getting your new DOT card, you know what I mean? And we did the driving test. We drive around in Texas a little bit, backing up and all of that. Everything was good. I mean, orientation was what I expected it to be. You know what I mean?
So your first impressions was great on how they treat the drivers and everything they told you, right?
And not only that, I've seen current drivers that are there driving for a long time, and they're saying to me, yo, welcome home, you're stuck here. And everyone is telling me the same thing. Yeah, everyone is telling me the same thing. The recruiter told me, what the referral told me. All the drivers are telling me the same thing. I haven't heard anything different. I made some videos on my YouTube channel talking about Hellwig, and I have yet to see an Hellwig driver come in the comment section and say, hey, that's not the case. And thousands of people watch the video. So something is going on over there that's positive, and I like it.
So you just mentioned about your DOT physical and how you had to redo your physical, even though yours was still good. Did that give you any type of red flags, or do you respect it as a policy?
I mean, I have to respect it because, my DOT expires like 6 months from now in December. And if I'm running a company, I'm getting new guys in, I want to make sure none of them are on any drugs, or any, we're going to provide health insurance, all that stuff. I want to make sure this guy is not this or sick or anything. So I kind of respect it. I would do the same if I have a trucking company. Everybody come in, I want to know what your health is looking like, or if you're on any drugs. I don't care about your past or your card. We're going to do a fresh one. It's safety out there, man, because you can have blood pressure issues, and you're going around a semi, you come in my truck, you go out there with blood pressure problem, and, those stuff can develop after you get the previous card. You can develop a blood pressure issue after the first card. So I think it was okay for them to check and make sure everything is good with us health-wise before putting us in the truck. And I respect that.
All right. So now you're here. You've been there for, about a week now? It's been a week since you've been there? Oh,
yeah. So like I've been there for a while.
Okay. So in your opinion, how does this company differs from Prime that you just left?
Man, I got to give you Prime have some of the best equipment in the whole country. And that's a known fact. You know what I mean? Prime makes the job easy with all the technology they have on the truck. I mean, you do not have to go to the scale when you're in a Prime truck. They have all the gauges and everything. You just have to calibrate them and make sure they're good. You know what I mean? With the communication, with all the system and all of that stuff, Prime has that. Hellwig now, you have, like I said, they need an experienced driver. You have to know how to type in the address in your own Jeep. You have to know, get the loader and go scale it at the scale. You know, all those sensor stuff, you know what I mean? The truck has the lane changing sensor, but it doesn't have the blind spot sensor. So you actually have to watch your mirror on the right side when switching lanes for the blind spot. So it's a little bit different. You know, I adjust to it real quick because, you know, I've been driving for a year and a half now, so it wasn't a big deal. But the difference between is just that with Prime equipment, it makes the job real easier. That's the difference.
Okay. Prime Inc. That's what's up. Oh, all right. So now that you're over here at Hellwig, I did a make the call video on them back in the day. They seem to be a pretty solid company over there. You mentioned about a 50% pay increase over there. So how is they making that happen? Is they just giving you more miles, or is it better pay rate, or what was it?
Oh, I'm going to get into that. Before I get into that, 1 second. You mentioned that you called it back in the day. You want to know something funny? And I was even watching your channel today when you dropped that DoorDash video. I was in New York City a year and a half ago doing DoorDash. And I was looking for trucking company. Yeah, I was looking for trucking company to go to. And I'm telling you, man, I watch all your recruiter folk. And it's one of the best things, I'm telling you. And I love the way you keep them on the phone. You know what I mean? Asking them all the questions. Because we as people trying to get into the industry, we want to know what's going on with these trucking companies. And to hear you, man, I'm just giving you your flowers, man. You did an incredible job right there. I know you said you're not doing those calls anymore because it's pretty much the same thing. But, man, those videos back in the days, man, I watched every single one of them. So I just wanted to give you your flowers right there on that.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
You're welcome, man. Now, when it comes to the 50% pay increase, you know, when Prime gives you that CDL training and everything, when you're done, you get 43 cents per mile. That's what they give you, 43 cents a mile. But when I've completed the year at Prime, you know, the 1-year obligation, I was looking to get an increase. And I was told, no, that's not how it works. I'm still stuck at 43 cents per mile. That Prime doesn't raise it after a year. So I'm like, well, I thought that 43 cents a mile was me paying you back for the school. That's not the case. But anyway, it's all right. So with Hellwig now, I'm getting an extra, 12 cents per mile, 55 cents now. At Prime, I was making maybe an average $1,000 a week. I mean, for your first time coming out here, that's okay, having no bids or anything. But with Hellwig now giving me 55 cents a mile, 2,800 plus miles per week, go to 3,000, that's like $1,500. But if I was getting 1,000, now I'm getting 15. That's a 50% increase right there, and it's a no-brainer. I had to jump on it. So that's why I say, you know, I'm getting like a 50% increase because minimum Hellwig, they're giving you 2,800 miles, and that's like $1,500 plus bonuses.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how I calculated the 50%, man.
Hold on.
Hey, real quick, if you're rocking with the podcast, go ahead and hit that like button, drop a comment, and make sure you're subscribed. If you've got a story like Roma's, or you just want to come on and share your journey, email me at lockoutmenpodcastguest@gmail.com. The best conversation starts here.
All right, Romaine, first, thank you. Thank you very much for that, man. And I really do appreciate I appreciate the drivers coming back to let me know that what I did for them back in the day kind of helped. I wasn't getting as much feedback as I was getting now, but I knew it was coming. I'm going to be honest. I was in my feelings at one point, like, why am I keep doing this shit? But as time goes on and more people hit me up in the background and say, hey, bro, I called such and such because you made the call to them and they turned out to be a good company, blah, blah, blah. Thank you very much. And I'm like, okay, well, for that reason and that reason alone, I said, yeah, I said, well, I think I did something good for the drivers. And I appreciate it, man. So you mentioned that you was doing DoorDash in New York. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm working on another DoorDash content because I mix it up over here with gig worker content and trucker content and lifestyle content. But I just did another DoorDash commentary because I came across this post that a lot of gig workers, Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, they're making more money than the truck drivers. And we want to know, how is that so? You know what I'm saying? So I kind of said that they got to be in key places. New York is one of those key places. How was it doing gig work? Like, what was you doing? Like DoorDash, Uber Eats, or was you just a ride share?
All of them, bro. I was on an electric bike because let me tell you something. In New York City, if you're doing food delivery, you want to be on the electric bike in the city. You get there faster. You get more done with the electric bike. You don't want to be in a car putting wear and tear. I already talk about the wear and tear with the vehicle, all of that stuff. I was laughing. I was on my electric bike, 3 batteries. Charging somewhere, there's a place I pay $10 a week to charge my batteries in New York City, and I just keep rolling them for the whole day. Let me tell you, man, back in the day, I would have believed that those guys are making more money than the truck drivers. Not today. Definitely not today. With all these $2 rates. When DoorDash came out back in the day, it was like a $5 minimum. And then the customer will tip you when you get there. Now it's different. It's way different now. And in New York, like you said, maybe you wonder if it's a geographical location, people making these money. Yeah, in Manhattan, you might deliver this food to a family in a penthouse suite in one of our buildings. And, well, those people don't normally tip a lot of money. It's like a hit or miss. Because they have a thing in New York that say rich people don't tip there because they don't want you to come and rob them. But you do have these families that will give you like a $30 tip, a $40, $50. You can get a $100 tip sometimes. You should catch the right customer in New York City. So I can see where people are saying they're making a lot of money doing DoorDash.
Oh.
That one that doesn't give you nothing at all.
Okay, New York City. Now you said electric bike, and that's where you was funneling your money so that you don't have to worry about other expenses like tires, oil changes, and stuff like that, man. Well, first, how was it in the wintertime, if you did it in the wintertime?
We did it in the wintertime. Those electric, man, you just have to put on your layers, man. The jacket and everything you have on your term. And on the electric bike, you have that big gloves on it. Plus, you have your regular gloves on it there. And when you say you deliver food to a building, you don't get out the building. You stay in the lobby or by the door area right there and wait till you get the next order because you don't want to go outside in the cold. So whenever you deliver food, wherever you drop it, you normally stay there and wait for a next order to come in. So you're pretty much outside when you're going to pick up the food or going to deliver it. And it's New York City. You could be anywhere in the city and an order comes in. There's a restaurant everywhere.
Right.
So we normally be on the inside. Yep, that's how we work it.
Okay. DoorDash in New York City. So I don't want to get too personal, bro, but you could just give me a broad of what was your average take during that time when you was doing it.
Well, I was doing DoorDash for like maybe 7 years. And when DoorDash, the office just dropped in Brooklyn, over there in Brooklyn, and it was like on the border of Williamsburg and Williamsburg. When DoorDash just dropped over there, Williamsburg? Yeah, tell me Williamsburg. It's like right at the border of Williamsburg, and I don't remember that next community over there in Brooklyn. It was good. I was making a lot of money, and as the year goes by, it started to get like stuff. I remember at one point I could make like $1,200 for the week. I quit my regular delivery job because I came to America before I got married and get my green card. I was doing delivery jobs without papers, so I would get those kind of jobs. But after I get my papers, I was making so much money doing deliveries. I got stuck doing deliveries. So I was like $1,200 a week off DoorDash. Then out the restaurant, I'll go there maybe in the morning time and say, hey, at dinner I'm out of here. I was making overall delivery like $2,500 a week of my 2 delivery jobs. Not just DoorDash, Uber also, and Grubhub. I didn't have Grubhub in the beginning. Grubhub was later on. But that's averaging like $2,500 a week of doing deliveries. And it go down to 15, then 1,000. Then it was like $500 a week before I come in the truck in. Now my rent was $2,000, $500 a week. I'm only working to pay my rent. Hey, you know how DoorDash got rid of me? I tried to log into my account. They say, yo, verify your identification. I took the selfie and I take a picture of my license. And they say, yo, that's not me. And I got to call support. I call support. Support say I can't get any answer until 90 days. I have to wait 90 days. They were just kicking people off the app. Like the OGs, they were getting rid of them off the app because We're not bullshit orders. Well, guess what? Some new guys came into town, some foreigners. I don't know how they get DoorDash accounts. I heard there was buying accounts with DoorDash. You could have like set up fake email and all of that stuff and get on DoorDash. And they were taking the cheap orders. So DoorDash was getting rid of us that are declining the orders and not accepting it. Then they came out with this rating thing like you have to like top dasher, they call it. If you're a top dasher, you're going to get the best delivery orders. Man, we wasn't getting nothing as top dasher. Because when you're top dasher, they send you 3 orders, you don't want them, your rate go down. No, you're a regular dasher again.
I feel you. That's how it was over here, man. I came into delivery game late. I started the delivery game last year, but I was Uber and Lyft when they first came here to Cleveland, way back in the day, 10 years ago. When I tell you, in the beginning, the money was there, I couldn't do no wrong, bro. Every person that got in the car, I made $20 or more. And when I did the airport runs, those was like $100 flat, period. But after a while, how these big corporations, they try to figure out ways to chip away at the driver's expense. Same thing goes in trucking, where everything is start good, but when the corporation and the policies and the politicking come into play and they figure out how they can make more money while giving you less money, that's pretty much why I stopped doing Uber and Lyft and the irate passengers and all that other bullshit, man.
I could talk about gigs for days, man. After I got rid of those Uber and Lyft, DoorDash, there was this app came out that's called Ship. You buy groceries at Target and you will take it to the customer. Man, I was making that was like 2 years ago. I was making crazy money in Ship because the food delivery wasn't doing so good anymore. DoorDash was okay at one point. They started, you could go and buy groceries for people with DoorDash at one point and take it to their house, but Ship came in and just take over that whole market. And I was doing Ship. And Ship kicked me off the account, said I declined an order. I didn't, but that's how those gig app work, man. They get rid of the OGs all the time. They're not safe. You have to do it on the side.
It's crazy that they say that you're a 1099 independent contractor. You can do when and what and pick and how, but yet they teach you like a company driver because if your AR goes down, either they're not going to send you shit or they're just going to kick you off the app altogether, man. All right, man. So let's get back at it, man. I guess we can talk about gig work.
We're going to talk about that.
We're going to have to come.
Yeah,
we're going to have to come back to.
With that tax.
Hey, man, we're going to have to come.
I don't even want to get into that. We're
going to have to come back on the gig work topic, man. So let's put a pin on that. Let's get back at it, man. You in the video, you talked about Prime having inconsistent weeks, man. How do you think this company that you're at now, how do you think they're going to keep you steady?
All right, this company, the president, he came in at the orientation, he talked to us, and he said some stuff that made me know, they got to have me running. I'm going to tell you. The president, that's the son of the owner. He's the president. He was telling us the reason why they have so little trucks, like 350 to about 400 trucks, is because they have double the freight. They don't want to get bigger than that, because if they get bigger than that, it will be less miles for the drivers. So they try and keep it at that amount. So the freight, there will be way more freight than the truck. So they could have drivers running. And also, another thing, they're running like a loop. You'll be there in Texas, you get a load, you go to Dodge City, you go to Dodge City in Kansas. In Kansas, you might get a load that's going all the way to the East Coast. Maybe it's going to Maine. When you go to Maine, you come down to like North or South Carolina with the next load, and then you get a next load that's going back to Texas, and you're right back at the start. So it's like a loop. They keep the trucks running in that loop, round and around and around. So the miles, you're pretty much guaranteed.
Okay.
That's the way they run it. Yeah, that's the way they run it. So when I heard that, I was like, man, this sounds good. Let's do it.
Stay small, pay the bills, man. That was my mode of thinking when I was an entrepreneur back in the day. So do you think this new company, Hellwig, is much more sustainable for long-term growth, or is it just another stepping stone like Prime was?
I would say much more sustainable for long-term growth, because Hellwig, they're going to start me at 55 cents, and after my first year, bump me up to like 60 cents, and I think the third year you go to like 70 cents, so you keep going up. Where at Prime, as a company guy, you're stuck at 43 cents, and there are so many drivers. Someone told me something, I don't want to, you probably know who I'm talking. They say at Prime, when a company driver hits a certain amount of miles, Prime will cap them because there are some kind of bonus that comes into play. So you will find some weeks Prime realize, oh, he's about to hit the bonus, cap him so he doesn't get that extra money. We'll put it on someone else so they could get, more miles without getting the bonus. The Prime right there, they save on the bonus. When I could be sitting next to the load, they'll rather have someone deadhead to it than miles to come get it. So, over Prime, there was some little stuff going on in the background that, I heard, and I'm like, it makes sense. Prime didn't want me to train because, they're going to have to pay for it. It makes sense. Prime didn't want to give me that extra 1,000 miles because that bonus that would have come in, it makes sense. I'm hearing stuff that makes sense, but I don't know how true it is, but, it makes perfect sense. But over by Elwick, like I said, the miles were over there and they have the freight. So I'm happy. And I hear from other Prime drivers that went to Elwick, Elwick gets a lot of Prime drivers. And I heard the Prime drivers that talk to them. We're in groups. We have Kirsty has a group. We all in that group. It's like a company group. And we always, laugh about the guys that are doing lease and stuff like that and what they're going through and how stupid it is. Kirsty is the one that made me go company. When I just came to Prime and, I talked to her on the phone for like 3 hours. She's like, Romain, you got to look in the company, and she breaks it down. And I'm like, damn, it makes sense. And then when I was on the road with my trainer, he was a lease guy. I see how crazy it was with him. I was like, oh, hell no. I can't go no lease. But, I couldn't come out and say it on social media. That's Prime business model. Let them do what they're doing. I don't want to shit where I ate at the time. So I just, promote company, and that was it.
Okay. All right. So, Romain, man, we having a great conversation, man. Thank you very much. All right. So you mentioned a lot of drivers followed you and joined Prime because of your videos, which you just mentioned. What advice do you have now for those same drivers who might be considering a move from Prime?
Well, everyone's situation is different. You might have that one guy who watched my video and he's at Prime right now, who's killing it. You might have a fleet manager who is maybe he's leased and he's making money. And maybe you'll have that one guy. I mean, my video was about how to get to Prime and get your CDL. You know what I mean? I taught guys that. So all those guys who watch my video and come to Prime and they're at Prime right now, if you do your 1 year, you did your 1 year, you don't owe Prime anything. Opportunities are endless. You could have 10 trucking companies calling you tomorrow with your 1 year experience. If you're not making money, other opportunities are out there. Like they said, Prime is a starter company. I think it's more than a starter company. You have way more opportunities there. But with this market and how things are going, the guys that I helped get to Prime will watch my video, get all the information. If it's not working out for you, there are the companies out there. You did what you have to do at Prime. Don't sit somewhere not making any money. If Prime wake up tomorrow and they realize they're not making any money, they're going to use tariff as an excuse to get rid of 3,000 drivers. You're going to get that email. So do what you got to do. Get up out of there if you're not making any money, man, and find something to better yourself. I did it. I was the one who helped you guys get there. And if I can get out of there for a better opportunity, so can you.
Right. So with that said, bro, do you still recommend Prime for people just getting started in the industry?
Absolutely. Because Prime, you could be sitting on the corner right now as a broker. You don't have a dime in your pocket. And you can end up in a rental car. You could be in a hotel by tomorrow, getting a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And Prime will help you get that CDL. You could be on the road getting paid every week. Remember, you don't have a dime in your pocket. You could be on the road learning how to drive the truck, get your CDL, and it could change your life. I recommend Prime 100%. I mean, if I could go back, I'll do it all over again. Prime is one of those places where you should go and get your CDL. They will teach you every single thing you need to know, and you will learn. And they have a slogan, driven by the best. I mean, you could go to Prime training and you don't know how to do the macros, you don't know how to fuel up your truck, but you will definitely know how to drive that truck. So go to Prime and you will learn how to drive a semi-truck, and you will get that license. I recommend it 100%.
Okay. All right, so everything went smooth, great with the new company. What do you say now to drivers who believe in ghosting a company with no 2 weeks notice versus your professional approach?
Well, with those drivers, be careful, man, because you might see a company and you want to go there and you just, disappear on Prime without notice, and then you go to that company and you realize this is no good. And then you might want to come back to Prime after that, and you're like, at least I'm with the evil. Like, no, I was making only $500 a week, but I was making something. But you can't come back. Right now, I can call my manager and let her know, hey, I want to come back next week, and I'm sure she would say, all right, come on board. You know what I mean? So just be careful. I mean, if you're sure your next move is like the move you want to make and you just want to get up and don't give no notice or anything like that, I mean, go for it. Each trucking company, they'll get someone else. They have more drivers on the pad training to take their spot. You're not going to hurt them. It's not like a small establishment. They lose one driver and they're you know what I mean? They're going crazy. These big companies, it doesn't matter. You're just a number. But like I said, give that notice, man. You might never know.
What kind of red flags should drivers look for before making the jump to another company?
That red flag, first you got to do your research, man. See what other drivers are saying, you know. When the referral tell me about Hellwig, I went out there trying to find red flags. I see guys who work for Hellwig. There are some YouTube channels. I don't hear anything bad. No one complaining. You know, that's the first thing. You want to go on social media, type in that name, and look if you see it. I didn't see any with Hellwig. So to answer your question, looking for red flags, just look if drivers are complaining. Look if drivers are complaining. If it's like, you know, they call it invitation to treat. They advertise one thing, but when you go there, it's something different. Look if that's going on. And if you see that, you know, that's a red flag. Now, care what the recruiter say. You have drivers over here saying something else. So just look for driver complaining. That would be the red flag right there.
Okay. All right. Now, since you made the transition from Prime over to Hellwig down in Texas, what do you want the overall audience to take away from your transition?
Growth. I want them to take growth. You know what I mean? And when an opportunity comes up, take it. It was a 50% increase. When I looked at it, I take it. You know what I mean? Like, I took it right away. With my transition, my plan was to go to Prime, work for them for a year, get my experience, and move on to something bigger. And during the process, I lost that blueprint because I was like, man, I could stay at Prime. I could train in the future. I could, you know, maybe one day go to lease. But, you know, when I see the negative stuff about lease, I took that out of my mind. I'm like, all right, I'll just train like 3 students a year and I could make way over 120,000 and that could be good. I could make my own truck. So my plan changed. But now with what's going on, I found the old blueprint was go there, get that 1 year experience and move on to a better company, not a better company, but a company that's paying more money. Well, any company paying more money is the better company. So get that 1 year experience and move on to a better company. And that's basically what's going on right now. It's growth. I want them to take growth from it. Grow. You have to grow.
All right. I'm going to apologize to you because I beat names up like crazy over here. All right. So, Romaine, man, thank you very much for coming on here, sharing your experience, having a good time with me, man. I appreciate it. But before you leave, man, because I know you busy, I know you trying to rock out them miles for Hellwig. Since you've been down in Texas, do you have any plans to relocate down there?
Hold on.
Enjoying what you're hearing? Ready for unfiltered trucking talk that tells it like it is? The Trucking Commentary Podcast with Lockoutmen delivers authentic reactions and engaging conversations about the latest trucking content from across YouTube and TikTok. Help us reach more drivers like you. Hit that like button and leave a comment to boost our visibility in YouTube's algorithm. Your support helps us deliver more of the no-nonsense trucking commentary you've come to like from Lockoutmen.
I've been saying it. I always wanted to move to Texas or Florida. You know, the weather is good. You know, I'm from Jamaica, the Caribbean, so we used to that nice warm weather. Plus, I want to have my guns, man, because in New York City, we can't have no guns at all. You know, I want to have my guns, so I was thinking Florida with all the hurricane and stuff. You know, Texas is looking good because, you know, no freight really comes out of Florida. As a trucker, you don't want to be in Florida like that. Texas is like a trucking hub, so it's more like Texas. So I'm looking towards moving to Texas one of them days. Maybe get an apartment because the housing market right now is a little bit trash. You know, you got HOAs doing crazy stuff with property taxes and insurance, all that stuff going nuts. You know, I don't want to get into buying a house in Texas yet, maybe in the future. But I'll grab me a little apartment down there, have that steady rent, no other overhead, more than my light bill and stuff like that, and just see what it's like in Texas. You know, but I will be moving to Texas, not even Florida. I will be moving to Texas in the future.
All
definitely.
right, man. It's not every day that you guys hear a driver leaving a company on good terms and walking into a better opportunity with confidence as this man got. This the energy that you guys could get over here at the Trucking Commentary Podcast with yours truly, Lockoutmen. Guys, if you learned something over here or just appreciate the conversation, y'all know what to do, man. Even if you guys have questions for my man Romaine, like the lettuce, get at us in the comments below. I'm sure he'll be happy to answer any questions or concerns or anything about the new company that he's at, and anything else you want to know about him and Hellwig. He'll be in the comment section, so show him some love in the comment section, man. Romaine, thank you very much for stopping over and chopping it up with me, man. I really do appreciate your time, bro.
Man, I really appreciate it, man. I can't believe this is happening. I was listening to you doing deliveries in New York, trying to get into the trucking game, and now I'm here talking to you about the trucking game. Man, I'm so over the moon, man. I really appreciate you inviting me on the channel to talk, man. And if you want to chop it up about those big ones, I got stories for things. You just let me know.